Alright everyone, welcome to another video of Full Speed Impulse, and today we're doing what we promised we would do, and that is making a budget air intake for your Klx110. And if you're seeing this video, then that means that we made something work. So let's get right at it. Alright, so here's the deal. We went to Menards and we already picked up some goodies. We got a few hose clamps and all that, and we got some PVC parts here, which this is about 1.25 inches. We got some elbows with the threaded here, which did not want to thread, so I'm not even quite sure that these threads are supposed to work, but I got really aggressive with it, and I'm pretty sure that's about all we can do here. But we're gonna see. This here, we know it's gonna work for us, and you may have some of these parts laying around that will cut the cost, which is fantastic. So we had a bunch, about $20 in some of these parts here, which we really didn't need hose clamps, but we got some hose clamps. And then this stuff here we bought. This was a $10 air filter off of Amazon, and between this stuff here, we were at $30, but we also bought more parts than we needed. And then this guy right here is something we had laying around that actually did come off one of our BBR intakes. So we are kind of cheating a little bit here, but you don't have to use this if you don't want to. All you'd have to do is find something of a hard rubber to connect your carburetor to the PVC part that you are using. So it may not be the same diameter of what we got going on here, but you could find something close, okay? All right, so we got the KLX here all cleaned up, and here's our carburetor, and our goal is to get that mounted on the carburetor, and we're going to shoot over to this side and hopefully up in here, a little bit more tucked. When your BBR intake comes out, it usually just kind of plops right here. So not too far over and still low where all the water and mud and everything gets caked in there. We are hoping that we could shoot up higher into the gas tank here and maybe get just a little bit more protection being higher up. It won't probably be the world of difference, but maybe just that little bit will help. All right, so here's the deal. Here's what we've come up with. We definitely bought too many parts, but now that we're kind of mocking stuff together and figuring out, making sure like our triple tree isn't gonna hit anything and all that, here's kind of what I'm thinking. So this was originally, like I told you, gonna go for that boot where it goes to the carb, and we are definitely still keeping that. With our ridges here, there's right there, you can see we grinded them, so it's gonna get a nice clean fitment in there, and it's not gonna be like a little gapped or anything like that. And then the hose clamp is gonna seal that up, no problem. So then after that, what we have to do is really just almost shoot straight back to how we want to do it. So what we're going to do is, instead of using this here, we're going to ditch this, I think, and this guy here will be our next item. But the thing is, we have to cut this off here, and hopefully our glue will work on this to this, because we're going to have to cut this off right here, and this should be just about the right size, I'm hoping, or we're SOL. But hopefully this is the right size, so where that will slide on, we can glue it, and then it's pretty much going to be a U-flow, kind of like BBR. I should stress that this air intake is probably definitely not for your big bore or for your big 26 mil carbs and all that, but if you're running just an 18 mil carburetor, this is probably not a bad setup at all, because you don't need a lot of airflow of maybe what the BBR might offer. So, and sometimes they say that instead of having like a big open airspace and all that, that can sometimes lack power, while having a tighter hole for air to flow in actually drives it in further into the carb. I mean, better into the carb than having just this big open spot. So maybe this will be really good. So we'll see what happens. Back to what we're talking about here. So this will go into the carb, and then this here will be glued onto here in the angle that we want it to. And then the air filter is going to go on just like that and clamp on, and it's going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And we got, let's see, we got $3 in parts here probably. This guy might have been $2 maybe, let's say $5 here. Plus an air filter, we're at $15 right now. Plus our hose clamps. Meaning, unfortunately, which I could take it back if I wanted to, but I'm sure we'll use this thing for something. But that means we didn't need this, which is a huge cost savings, because that's like $9 right there. But we're not done till we're done. So let's see what happens. If I do cut this and it doesn't fit, we're pretty much done for the night. So hopefully it works. All right, so change of plans. We got this guy warming up on top of our heater right now, making sure she don't melt, hopefully. When we cut that plastic piece, which I was afraid of, because obviously there are two different types of materials, these two do not go together. They are just a slightly different size. So, I'm sorry. It'd be this going into that. Not the same size. So, not a big deal. So what we're gonna do, we are gonna use that clear piece and we're gonna connect those two just like that. And it's actually gonna work out perfect, and it's gonna be super simple of a design too. Because then this thing's gonna plug right in there and then we're done. Like, unfortunately, it's not that complicated, but it's gonna work awesome. Well, I tell you what, sometimes I surprise myself and I didn't even think it was gonna go this good, guys. But she looks so good. I mean, look at this thing. Like, that is like premium, dude. That's perfect. So that fits right in there just like that. And it shoots up just like we wanted. And because we got the filter with the angle on it, it goes right in there and just, it really tucks right in there. If we wanted to put a little extension on here and shoot it more that way, we could, but I don't think we have to. And the only thing I did forget about with this whole stuff is that when you delete your air box, you're losing a mount for this side of the fender that actually holds this fender on. So like on your other side, it's usually you got a bracket like this, so you have to buy your other bracket. So that is up to you. You could either custom make a bracket for this side, or you could take the risk of buying one of these, and hopefully, I wouldn't see why it wouldn't, but hopefully it would fit around your custom air intake that you're making. But either way, and I don't think these are really expensive either. But also, an idea you could use is just go to your Menards, TSC, get some rod, bend it, and then you could weld a flat piece of steel, drill a hole, and the other side, you could just weld a nut onto it, or you don't even have to weld another flat piece of steel, because you could just nut it with the bolt into the plastic. So just to show you guys with the plastic real quick, which we'll be doing another video on how to restore your plastics. We were gonna buy new ones for this, but you said, you know what? We're not trying to make this thing look brand new. Let's just make the plastics look a little bit better. So we'll zoom out. So that's how she's supposed to go in there, guys. And I mean, that's pretty darn good. So maybe not still the perfect, because obviously it's still gonna probably catch stuff from the tire and all that, but it's the best that we can do with this setup. Because with, like, Hondas are nice because their filter's actually back here, but with Cowies, it's kind of what you got. So instead of like just having a pod filter here and really catching stuff, at least this way it's shooting a little bit more up into the gas tank. And like I said, if we were to extend this, then at least we'd be able to get the filter more up in here. But I think that's pretty darn good. And I tell you what, our dirt bike just taught us a really important lesson, and that is do not hand start with your Kickstarter. Got a little too comfortable doing that when she was low on compression and all that, but she ain't low on compression. She kicked back like a mule and she got me good. But thankfully, I didn't break anything, and feels all right. Don't feel great, but we will not be hand starting with the Kickstarter no more in these videos, people. But let's show you what we got working with. All right, so we got her all stuffed up in here. We got our hose clamps on. She's looking good. Me and my buddy were talking, and what we said is that we could have actually made this just a little bit longer, and then what that would have done, it would have gave us just a little bit more room here, and then we could have actually extended this even higher up, doing exactly kind of what we were talking about in the video, getting the air filter away from any water that's going to get kicked up on the tire and all that, and go into your air filter. It's still higher than what your BBR would be, because your BBR normally gets pressed right into this right here. It's a little bit higher, but it ain't that much higher, everyone. So that being said, kind of is what it is. I'm not going to bother with it. I kind of like how it sits now. It's really snug, but when we go to secure our plastic and all that, we are going to get a little piece of bendable metal, slide it in here, and then we'll tighten this clamp back up and then have it go in our bolt hole here when we tighten everything down. So that is what's going to happen with that. Sounds pretty good. I mean, not bad, you know. Definitely gotta tune her in a little bit more. She don't sound bad, but we got just some Hail Mary jets in her, and we don't know where the heck our tuning's at. So we gotta get this thing dialed in now that she's got compression and all that. The old BBRC we had laying around, we just kind of slapped on her. But we're gonna do our video here. We're gonna try to restore our plastics. I'm not gonna lie to you, we already tried a little bit, and our darn buffer here isn't working. So that's no bueno. We got them sanded down a little bit, but there's still some scuffs and all that. They're not gonna look perfect, that's for sure. But I think this is gonna have to hold until we get our buffer working properly. All right, so just to recap on this video here, guys. So what you're gonna look for is either you're gonna go and get this BBR thing, adapter here to your stock carb and go from there, which I do recommend because it's gonna bump you up to a bigger size here, which is gonna give you a little bit more air volume and all that, which I think is gonna be good. If you don't wanna do that, you could simply get just some type of thick rubber, whether you're stealing it from a radiator hose or any type of tough rubber you could find, and then connect it with that, you'll be fine. You're gonna go with your 90 right here, and you're gonna shoot her on this way. And this actually, guys, this stuff is so tough. It actually works super well. And I'm not even mad to have a little spare of that stuff laying around in the garage, because I'm sure it's gonna come in handy again. And over here, we just shot right up, like I said, and good old Amazon filter and with the angle. You don't need the angle, but the angle does help on positioning stuff a little bit, especially if you mismeasure and all that. And we'd already tested, the fender misses it completely. So this is our fender mocked up. Oh, hold on. So that's our fender roughly mocked up there. And just to tell you guys, the BBR completely hits that and rubs your plastic. So even if this one hits a little bit, no big deal. And the important thing is, when you're doing this, make sure when you got all your crazy hose clamps going on here, that one, you can access them fairly easy, but two, make sure they're not binding or hitting anything, and definitely make sure that your screws aren't pointing out here to where it's gonna be rubbing on your fender. But that is our budget air intake for your Klx110 or 110L. So I think that came out pretty fantastic, guys. Like I gotta tell my buddy, not everybody has $130 to spend. I don't want to spend $130 on this thing. You know, I got other stuff to, to work on and all that. You know, maybe you're just trying to make something work. Maybe you don't want to run that stock air box. Maybe you don't have a stock air box. Maybe you're stuck in this predicament where you gotta make some type of filter system, and putting that pod air filter that they suggest right on the carb to where it's pointed directly at the front tire is no bueno. Not at all. So I think this is your second best option here for sure, if you're not gonna buy a BBR. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and that's about it for today's video, but we'll see you later.